Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And I'm getting a whoop whoop there.
Right now.
And I always start my show off with gratitude, or some people will say thankfulness. I am always, always thankful. I'm thankful to be alive above ground. I'm thankful that I'm self-isolating, yes, social
Yeah.
distancing, and not congregating. I'm following the rules of the government and the global instructions in terms of this COVID-19. It's so sad that that is what is on our mouths now. But I'm still thankful for those who survived, those who may have captured it or gotten infected. I am keeping them in prayer, keeping them in thought, and wishing them a speedy recovery. Yeah. And for the rest
Yes.
of us, I hope and pray that we follow what we are being told. This is the time to listen and don't do your own thing, people. Don't do your own thing. So just listen so that we can help control and reduce and spread and mitigate this virus. Yeah, that we don't have a cure for. Be personally responsible, okay, and don't do your own thing. So I'm thankful for life. I'm thankful for breath. I'm thankful for being here with Oscar Redden, young man here. Let me tell you a bit about him. So Oscar, let me tell you a bit about Oscar Redden. He's Oscar Redden. What is that he has there? The third. So
The
he's in
fourth.
a
The fourth.
line. It's the fourth, sorry. So
Okay.
you see, my math is wrong, and he's a math teacher. I just did something wrong there. Oscar Redden the fourth. So he's the fourth in a line in the generation. He is the author of Albert's The Albatross. Attitude equals altitude, or some people will say altitude or altitude. A book developed to function as a blueprint to teach and inspire the youth about the values of integrity and respect. And we're talking about that today. Oscar grew up in Sanford, Florida, a close-knit community where everyone knows each other and family is monumental. Oscar has a master's in business administration from St. Leo University and has spent over 6.5 years in logistics with Walmart supply chain. He believes that a positive attitude is more important than an all skill set and is the X factor to achieving your dreams. Recently, Oscar transitioned his career and is now a fifth grade math and science teacher, so he caught me there. There, he continues to share his influence about the power of positive attitude and motivates the youth to be the best representation of themselves. He currently lives in Ocala, Florida, with his fiancée. Please visit his website at Albert the Albatross, which we will feature a little bit later in the episode. So welcome, Oscar, to Between the Lines.
So thank you so much, Corinne. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to be in with everyone today and just, bask in the glory and just like you said, having gratitude and all the things we have today and not being ungrateful and taking every day as an opportunity to be better than yesterday.
That's right. Well said. Well said. An opportunity to be better than yesterday. Yeah, the focus on the now. Yeah. So,
Correct.
Oscar, you are influencing youths. You are coming in on this show at such a great time in so many different respects. You're talking about a positive attitude. You're talking about being a better person. You're talking about integrity. You're talking about, considering other persons. You're influencing youths, the minds of youths. And, we have adults who are behaving irresponsibly right now. And you're wondering what is going on. Who is really leading the youth here? Who are the youths going to be looking at for as a role model? If the youths are being irresponsible, making certain types of comments, gestures, insinuations, really, who are the youths left to look up to?
Well, I mean, that's a great question you pose, Corinne, because they're looking at someone. We just hope that they're looking at the right person. And as, someone that is in a educator role, I have to be professional 24/7. My comment, the way I dress, the way I behave. There's someone out there wanting to be just like me. And, I believe in this. I believe in the company you keep is what you reap. The company you keep is what you reap. So for kids out there that are, watching what's going on out in the world, I would say, that, you know, don't panic, because, there is opportunity out there. There are people that can, show you the right way. I know it's easy to get frustrated with what's going on and say, well, I don't care, be negative, but it's a lot harder to do the right thing than the wrong thing, but it takes courage to do the right thing. And we really have to be careful on what we say around kids and what we do, because it can ultimately impact their future and their mindset, and then what they do to future generations. And
That's right.
my family's philosophy is just making the next generation better, and that's by setting the right example, and leading from the front, not from the back. And that's kind of what I see, a lot of leading from the back, not the front. Kids, they usually see you from leading from the front. That's, so for me, I would just say to the kids is that, don't allow what's going on in the media right now to cloud your judgment on what acceptable behavior is, because there's behavior that adds value and then there's behavior that doesn't. And you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. You got something in your heart called the conscience, and when that thing starts to string, when those strings in your conscience starts to move, it's probably a sign that this isn't the right thing to do.
That's right.
So
That's right.
we have to talk about, your conscience. So.
Yeah. As you were speaking, what came to me is, biblically, they say a child shall lead them, out of the mouth of babes. And I'm like, what could really the young people, because they're not stupid, eh? I'm a parent.
Oh.
I'm a parent, and these young people of today, of yesteryear, I mean, we were both young at one point in time, and we are able to see and know what's going on. And we know, just like you say, your conscience lives within you. You know what makes sense, and when your parents are saying something that just doesn't make sense, and because they're your parent and above you, you have to listen, or else. But you know what's right, you know what doesn't make sense and what does make sense. And you want to be able to say something, probably to your parents, to correct them, to say,
Right.
What you're saying there does not make sense, mom or dad, or be able to put forward your own opinion. How can we empower our youths, our young minds, to be able to speak out and be heard? Because I don't think that young people are being heard. They are being put down, dimmed, made to shut up, be silenced because they're a child. But these children, just like us, grow up to adults, and that kind of limiting belief and thinking and programming stays with us. And I don't want to see that continue. Just like how you mentioned a while ago, the next generation is supposed to be better than the previous. But we are not really doing that. We are actually shutting up and quieting our younger generations, I find, to come. There are some who are speaking out and being rebellious, and what happens to them? They're treated as outcasts, they're ostracized, they are put aside, they are seen as deviant, and they are isolated because they are not falling within the quote-unquote controlled environment that a parent or a boss or a supervisor or a family or whatever may want to keep them, or the church may want to keep them. We want our youth to be able to speak out and express their thoughts and their minds and what they feel, because they are human beings and they do have a voice. As a young person yourself, as someone in front of a classroom influencing youth, how would you encourage or empower a young person to be able to speak to an adult in a respectable manner, but still yet be heard?
I use this in that acronym, and I've heard it before, humble, open, and transparent. Let's establish some rules, right? Because we have to establish boundaries, lines that we're not going to cross, and we have to explain why. So if we're having a conversation and you don't understand, why I'm taking this certain decision, we can speak about it, but you don't get the opportunity to disrespect me. And this is disrespect. Disrespect is, interrupting me, tuning me out. I will hear you, and anything that we address that day, we will not leave until everyone has the same everyone has a consensus and we come to an agreement. Because sometimes, like I was listening to you, Corinne, sometimes do as I say, not as I do. That mentality, right? Right. I want you to study. I want you to not curse and be disrespectful, but you're in the car with me and someone cuts me off and I'm cussing and disrespect.
That's right. Yes.
They're seeing because kids will not always remember what you say. They'll remember how you made them feel.
That's right.
You made me feel this way. This is how you make me feel. So being open, humble, and transparent is always critical. I do this with my students. Hey, you got a concern? You come up to my desk and we'll talk it out. But you're not going to make a spectacle of it. You're not going to be at the table and create a spectacle in front of your little brother because you haven't gotten your way. Now that's tough love. That's explaining. That's giving you the why. It's not just saying, well, do as I say, not as I do. It's giving you the why. And sometimes, kids, they still have, kids, they have to grow up. But I think it all starts off with an open line of communication. And how many times does that get railroaded? Kids, like you said, they feel like they're not being heard. So when you don't feel like you're being heard, there's going to be no more words after a while. It's a conditioned response.
Yeah. The thing about it is that when kids decide to use that hot approach, humble, open, and what was it again?
Transparent.
Parents may see that as you're trying to be above them, or are you trying to make them feel? That's how they see it, that you're belittling them, you're showing them up, because a parent is supposed to be the all-knowing, all-everything. I'm supposed to have all the answers. So when you as a child put forward something that definitely the parent knows makes sense, they will tell you, no, they will say no. They wouldn't even, some of them mightn't even admit, what you said makes sense. You're absolutely right. Let's put that in place and acknowledge that child. In other words, making the child feel good, and of course, creating a healthy environment. So positivity, coming to the point of our discussion,
Yes.
Creating a positive attitude. It doesn't create a positive attitude. This child grows up thinking, I should not express myself. I will remain silent. They end up in relationships being submissive because they feel, oh, well, I will be put down for this or for that. If I see something wrong, I should just stay in it because, hey, it worked when I was in my parents' home. This is what I saw and grew up with, and this is what my parent did. So this clearly must be the way. Even though it doesn't feel good, your conscience, it's telling you, no, your spirit is, but you go into relationship. I don't think people realize how significant the role of parenting is, and that whole socialization, not only parenting, but parenting extends to teachers, it extends to other educators, it extends to the media, it extends to anything and anyone that influences the mind of another human being. That is what I think parenting is. So it's not a matter of a biological parent gives birth to you. Anything and anyone that influences the mind of another human being, that is parenting, right? And to create a positive attitude in light of everything that you're being bombarded with, how would you suggest that we move through and navigate an environment that is bombarded by negativity, people telling you to dim your light, you're too much, you're talking too much, you always have something to say, how do you create a positive attitude and navigate that?
I like to kind of put together a little story, and so we have recess. Fifth grade teacher, and recess is a part of the day. And you have some kids that don't participate in recess, and some that do. And then you have kids there that say things they're not supposed to and hurt the other kids' feelings. So I'm at recess with a student, and I noticed that she walks off from the playground and sits on the bench. So I immediately go over because I'm concerned, and I ask her, hey, what's going on? And she says, this student, called me a name and yelled at me, and it made me feel bad. And I paused and I sat there for a second and I said, well, is it really going to matter tomorrow? And then she paused and said, no. I said, so why are you allowing someone that's putting the least amount of investment into you to have a majority of, control over your life? And that's the first key. And I learned that lesson growing up because I used to be extremely shy. Now I was a big guy, I played sports, but I'm not the guy that was going to get on the microphone and get the party going. I was to myself, and I had to come to grips with certain things that it's okay to be shy, but don't let anybody take your joy. Don't let anybody tell you, hey man, people used to make fun of my head size. They say, oh man, you got a long head, you got a big head. Well, oh, thank you very much. I know that. I live with it. Okay. And then I'll go on about my life. But what I'm saying is that conversation I have with the student is that, don't let anybody take your joy. Don't let anybody have that much control over your life to the point where they have you upset because they're not investing anything into you. And what they say at the end of the day is not going to matter at all. Your attitude is ultimately going to dictate your future. I don't want us to be in denial here. I don't want to say, hey, man, if you feel hurt, don't say you're hurt. That's not the point. That's not the solution. It's coming to grips with it, acknowledging it, and exercising self-control. Because
boundaries.
Setting
boundaries, yeah.
Yes, setting boundaries and being meek. Meek is when you have strength under control. That's meek. That's the definition of it. Strength out of control is a disaster. And we know how easy it is for people just in general to lose their composure. When you lose your composure, you're telling other people that you're going to allow your emotions to dictate your judgment.
That's right.
Same example. You're in the car. Somebody cuts you off. You're going to go fight fire with fire and go follow them and argue with them? What have you done? Fire plus fire equals more fire. Someone throws a pie at you, you're going to throw a pie at them. Now, the natural inclination is to do that. But for you to say, well, what is the opportunity cost of doing that? What example am I going to show my son or my daughter by engaging in this pointless activity? And that's what I mean by attitude. Making a choice, getting up, no matter how much internal warfare that you have going on. Making a choice to say, listen, this is the way I'm going to live my life, and I'm proud of it. And if that means that, not everyone likes it, that's not important. If you're having a problem with a parent and they don't necessarily agree with it, you don't have to get disrespectful. You can just politely say, like I'm doing, I'm not talking loud and getting loud. You can just politely say, hey, mom, dad, I respect you guys. And, as long as this is just the way I feel about it. And yeah, I respect you. And I'm going to do it. Everything you guys say is just, this is my thought process. And I just hope that you'll be open to respecting them. And if they don't, then guess what? You're going to be an adult one day.
That's
and
right.
then when you get your own house, you can have your own moves. You're in your mom's house.
That's right.
You're in your dad's house. So you got to learn how to operate in other territories. You can't have home games all the time. I like sports. When the Lakers play, they don't always be at home. They have to go in other territory and they have to abide by the rules.
Yeah.
So you got to think about stuff in other ways. It's like, you can't have it your way all the time. You got to be flexible in unknown territory. You got to get comfortable, and you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And understand this too. When you're around people that are negative, understand this: hurt people, hurt people.
That's right.
That's just as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And if they can find more hurt people to solidify their hurt, then they make that a norm. Then they walk around and think that it's normal to hurt other people because they've been hurt.
But that's the frightening thing, Oscar. When hurt people, it becomes so normal for them to hurt people, then they are not really, then they don't consider themselves hurt anymore. It is a norm.
It's numb, and you don't understand it because you're not from that environment. But it's practically normal. That is the amazing. That's the unfortunate part about the human brain. We can adapt, but are we adapting positively or negatively? If I'm hurting my spouse because I've been hurt as a young man, then that's not gonna make me a better man. You know, we know what's right and we know what's wrong, but it's harder to do like I said, it's harder, it's more difficult to do the right thing than the wrong thing.
But
Because if it
why?
was easy to do the right thing, everybody would be doing it.
But why?
That's why they call. That's why I call.
Why is it difficult to do the right thing? It's very easy to do the right thing. Why is it difficult? Because the amount of effort it takes to do the wrong thing, it takes less effort to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Someone told me before this. I've heard this before, but it takes more muscles to frown than smile. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just. I mean, all these things interconnect.
Yeah, yeah. It's a choice. It's a choice that everybody makes. And you know, how I see it is that, you know, we can't control anything other than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster we realize that, the better we would be. You cannot control anything. Don't blame anyone. You know, just like you say, you give people permission, you allow people to treat you the way they treat you. Don't allow it. Set boundaries. You know, decide who you want in your life and who you don't. You have a positive attitude, and there are people around you who are negative or who are toxic or who are really not good for you, and you know it. It makes no sense hanging around them. Let them go. Wish them well, and let them go.
Yeah. Love them from a distance. Even
love
with
them from a
social.
distance. Yeah, I love that. Love them from a distance.
Social distancing. You got people that are freaking out because they can't talk to people. That's good.
Yeah.
You work on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're gonna tell me that if you don't talk to somebody today, you're not gonna have a good day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's you know, you're already allowing people to leverage you and you don't even know it. You're gonna let somebody get the drop a move on you and you're not gonna even know it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how people start to get used, because they're depending on someone else to make them happy. You have to, it's called self-esteem.
That's right.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem and self-worth is you. Now, you mentioned social distancing, which is a term that has, of course, been propped up as a result of this COVID-19, the coronavirus. And, you know, it has caused so many varying impacts, you know, just like you mentioned, one of which is people just like they can't understand or relate to. I can't talk to this person, or not necessarily that you can't talk to them, you could, but it's just the whole body contact. You may not be able to relate the way you're accustomed to, the way you've been programmed to. And now you have to do things differently. And it's a whole shock to the mind, to the body, to the system, you know, and you're like, how do I do this? How do I do this? It comes like if you take away somebody's phone, they suddenly can't think. They suddenly can't function. You're like, what? How did you function when there were no phones? They can't imagine that. You know, so it's like it's like their whole life is around this, and this whole disease or virus, I should say, is actually taking us back to basics. Basic hygiene, basic interaction, learning to stay to yourself, learning to wash your hands, have a shower, you know, clean your environment. Everything is back to basics. You know, what are your thoughts in terms of that, and how do we maintain a positive attitude for those of us who really have to change, have a whole paradigm shift with this whole virus?
We have to stop making excuses for ourselves. Like this thing about proper hygiene that's just a routine. Like we talked about, it's a routine. It's something you get up in the morning as part of your routine. You have to be willing to change wherever you are. You have to have the unwavering courage to do what you need to do in order to have a better tomorrow. You know, I mean, it's because we're all at different stages of our lives. You know, and certain things that the way I perceive the world may be different from someone that you just described. But we have to take these things serious. It just can't be, well, this is just a fad, you know, this is just something the media is putting out there to scare us. No, it is real. I mean, everything is shutting down, and you need to take it seriously, because you know what's going to happen is, you know, and we don't wish on this. We don't wish on it, but it's going to take something happening close to home, right? Someone that you know getting it for you to realize that This is, this is reality. It almost reminds me of people that like to drive without their seatbelts or have never been in accidents.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When you get in an accident, and I'm hoping you don't, you realize that this thing is real. You can actually get hurt.
Yeah.
So
why do we have to come to that point? I was listening to our Prime Minister earlier today of Trinidad and Tobago, and he's like, why do we have to be like beating people over the head to do what is right? This is basic stuff. In order to contain the virus, just be responsible, because it's through interaction that it spreads faster. Let us do our part and reduce it and get rid of the thing. But people are still congregating. They're finding creative ways to come together. And I'm like, really? Really?
Well, it's just an act of defiance. It's like when, you tell, a student that, you can't do this, you can't have this toy, and then all they do is obsess about it until they get what they want. It's not so much about the toy, it's just about the thrill of being defiant and what the consequences are going to be. And in this case, they're thinking about the positive consequence. And oh, well, I get to do what I want and be lawless. Look at me, because we're in a generation where, we have people that thrive off of attention. That's how they charge their batteries, so to speak. Just like we charge our phones that's how they get their kick. That's how they charge themselves up. They have to be known. They have to be the center of attention. And
the
I'm not saying
the impact of that, Oscar, is it puts a lot of stress on the national resources. So you get your little trill, as you call it, your temporary trill, pleasure, whatever, your attention, but at the cost of medical care, at the cost of infecting other people, at the cost of, so many other things. Look at the resulting negative impact as a result of that.
It's a significant cost, because when you start putting dollars to these acts of disobedience, that's really the only way you can get people's attention, because, where your heart lies, where your treasure lies. When this starts impacting us from an economical standpoint negatively, then people see the effects, this thing about washing your hands, just, wash your hands, please.
Yeah.
Follow instructions. We don't have you're not going to get a prize for doing this. Just do what's being asked. And that's kind of where I think we talk about attitude. You're making a conscientious choice to do this. So better. That's right. Like you said earlier on, kids are smart. Like, they know when you're playing with them. They know when you blowing smoke. Mm-hmm. So don't think that you got the one up on them.
Yeah, they know.
They know what's going on. They just seeing if you're going to be truthful. So they know. So
but keeping a positive attitude is really the way to go, especially with this virus, and knowing that it's going to go. We're going to get back to our lives. We're just being asked to probably shift the way we do things. And you know what I say to people? Look at the positive, look at the things that you haven't been able to do before, that you have the chance to be able to do it now. And do it differently. Learn a new way of doing things. And stop depending that the way that you have been doing is the only way. This is finding creative ways of interacting, of using your time, of spending time with family, of working from home. There are so many different benefits that can come from it. Opportunity comes from crisis if you really have an open mind.
Yeah, think about the family dynamic, the family structure. How many families sit together at a table and talk and say, hey, son, how was your day? Daughter, how was your day? That dynamic is not in all families now, but I think we can agree that there's just families that don't eat at the table anymore. And that's where a lot of important decisions, happen. And a lot of important conversations need to be had. You said something earlier on and about parents and students not agreeing and or kids feeling like they you know, are not being heard, we have to establish a place, a safe place, like the table, where you're free to express yourself.
That's
You
right.
know, let's create a conditioned response, a positive one. You know, well, I know Dad is going to let me speak my mind at the table, so let me go ahead and, for timing's sake, wait till we get to the table, and I know he's going to let me go ahead and say what I want to, because he won't get up because he's going to be full. You know? So I can go ahead and just lay it on him, or lay it on Mom, whoever. But we have to establish these safe zones so that kids can be comfortable in coming to parents, because, and this is not in all cases, but you know, when you see kids going left and not making right decisions, you know, they're crying out for help.
That's right.
Help me. Help me. You know what? Yeah, so it's crazy.
And it's not only kids, it's adults, just human beings. We cry out for help in all different ways, so we need to keep an eye out for that. I want to be able to hop over to your website. Let me just see if I can grab a page here to do that. Remind me of your website again, Oscar.
So it's Amazon, and you just type in Albert the Albatross. But I have my own home page on Facebook, Albert the Albatross, and you get to see real-time interaction and just all the things I've done thus far with Albert the Albatross and the brand, and inspiring kids to reach their dreams by changing their attitude, which ultimately changes their altitude.
Okay, I was going to go to, hold 1 second for me. I'm trying to get that here. So I'm going to Amazon. I won't be able to hop across to Facebook because Facebook, there's so many activity going on Facebook. So I don't really want to show that right now.
Oh, I understand.
Let's have a look here. I am bringing it up. Yes, Oscar Redden. So let me have that. And I am going to just share what I have here. Is this what I see? Yeah. So this is it here. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yep, right there. Yep.
So tell us a bit about Albert the Albatross.
So Albert the Albatross was an idea that I came up with over a year ago. And, you know, at Christmas, New Year's is coming up, and we all have our New Year's resolution. Or I'm the only one that's thinking about that. So I said, you know what? I got something to say, and I think that it's important. It's all about the power of positive attitude. So I gave myself a few months, partnered with my partner in crime, Ross Webb, and about 4 months, I was able to get this book constructed. This book is almost a year old, but it is all illustrated through the eyes of one of the largest birds in the world, which is called an albatross. You know, albatrosses are amazing. You can find them mostly around the equator. They're very you know, extraordinary birds. They roam most of their lives. They fly high. Their wingspan is more than 11 feet. So these are some pretty big birds. It's amazing to see them in action. One of the things that I think is most interesting about these birds is that when they come out of the air, they go and they mate. And they actually are like lifelong partners. So what I mean by that is that when albatrosses court, they court for life. They can live up to 60 to 70 years. Wow. So they have one partner in their lifetime. And they stay.
What are you saying? We need to learn from the albatross, clearly.
Yes, yeah, and they stick together. It takes 2 years for one albatross to have a child, and what the parent does, what the parents do is they take turns. One goes out and looks for food, and the other one sits on the egg and incubates it.
Wow.
So they work together as a team, and I thought that was interesting because that's another positive family dynamic that we want to have, teamwork. You know, these albatrosses stay together for centuries. Um, they're a unique species,
I
and
always say we could learn. I always say we could learn a lot from animals because really, the more I hear about animals, is the more I have more respect for them. Because the humans are really not saying anything. When you think that the humans are at the top of the totem pole because they have a brain and they are thinking and talking human beings and individuals, kind of whatever, you're thinking that they're supposed to know better. But the animals know better. The animals know better, and we need to look to the animals and learn from them. I never knew that about albatrosses. This is interesting.
Yeah. Another thing about an albatross is you can see the picture here of the water splashing up, the wings are fully extended, and the albatross does not flap its wings to stay in the air. It harnesses the wind power. So it uses the wind that bounces off waves to elevate. And a lot of the movement is dynamic. So it's more of a teeter-totter movement going throughout the sky. And, they can actually go up 30 feet, drop their wings like icicles and go straight down and grab prey, come right back up without using any energy. So it's phenomenal. It's, they are one unique creature or
That is
animal.
interesting. And you have it in both Kindle and paperback.
Correct.
So persons can get it in both formats. This is awesome. So what I'm sure you're working on some other books, Oscar. You can't just leave Albert by himself.
No, I don't. I just want to give this book an opportunity to flourish. I don't have any kids at this point. I'm sure that'll change by the end of this year. I'm actually getting married this weekend.
Oh, nice.
First, so yep, I'm excited and just this is like my baby right now. I want to give it a chance to grow. I want to be able to give it an opportunity to take off. And I think a part of author entrepreneurship is finding different ways to expose my book to different consumers, because this is one platform here, and then there's all type of platforms. I've been out to numerous festivals, and I'm serious about this message because it needs to be addressed. The power of a positive attitude is going to take you farther than anything in life. I'll tell you this: a positive attitude maximizes the talent you possess and makes up for the ones you do not have. And it's easier to teach an unskilled worker, a new trade versus someone that thinks they know everything, is rude and entitled. Because when things get difficult, and they will, because we're talking about life here, the positive person will find a way to be coachable. And that's the thing that we have to unlock with people in general. You got to be coachable. You can't think you know everything. Because the person that thinks they know everything knows nothing. Don't.
Yeah.
They honestly don't.
Yeah.
But I just, I'm just excited. I couldn't wait to talk to you and just, because I have the same energy in class. So I'm just passionate about what I do, and I want people to know that, hey, you can do it. You can do it.
You can do it. Just change your mindset. Think of Albert and spread those wings and just fly and leverage the wind under your wings. Fly.
These birds can.
That is awesome. Oscar, you're doing a fantastic job. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding, your married life together. I hope you have been talking and getting advice from Albert on how to move forward with your new wife. You have a fourth generation of Reddens in your family, so you have to live up to the name. You have a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but it's not pressure, it's actually making sure that you do better in this round to prepare the next generation of Reddens to come, so that that next generation will be better than you. And with the attitude you have and the influence you have over young minds, I think you're doing a fabulous job. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a
yes,
pleasure
it's been a
having
pleasure.
you.
And this won't be the last time because we got to have a part 2.
That's right. That's right.
We got to have a part 2, you know, because this doesn't seem like a long time we've been talking. You know, it's just like, you know, when you're at the fair and you on a ride and you like, oh, woo, woo, and then it slows down. You're like, hold on, wait a minute now. You know, so it was, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too. So please remember to share those wedding pictures with me
Yes.
when you get it, so that, you know, I can have that up with Albert and say, hey, it's because of Albert he's getting married, you know, it's because of Albert. Yeah.
Exactly.
All the best to you, Oscar. Yeah,
All
and
the
be
best to
safe.
you.
And be safe. Yeah.
You too. You too. God bless.
Same to you, my darling.